Welcome back, guys. I am really excited for so many of you guys. Throughout this Matt Versus series, my goal is to reach, to connect with, educate at least 100,000 new people that had no idea how to lose weight, no idea how to build muscle, no idea how nutrition works, and basically just show you guys the big picture, the main points, the things that actually will get you results. I've done this before in 2013, did it before 2011. It's incredibly rewarding to me. So once again, we're gonna do this, okay? Let's talk about, in terms of my contest prep, and as well as in terms of figuring it out for yourself, what are the major key points in terms of nutrition for losing weight specifically. Also give you the basics on building muscle and whatnot. But starting right now, what are the major points for body fat loss? I think it's really important to start on the right page because so many of us want to get interested in working out and bettering our health, changing our physiques, staying around longer for our children and grandchildren. We open up a magazine and we don't get the main picture. We end up reading something about a topic that is perhaps important, but it's way down the totem pole in terms of importance compared to the things that are at the top. So let's begin talking about the fundamentals of nutrition using this metaphorical and literal graphic that I have right here. Let's imagine this is a planet. Here we are, Joe or Jill, new to nutrition, new to this entire topic, is in this galaxy, this universe, in which we'll call for now adherence and preference, because what this person does in terms of getting results is going to, in the end, have to be something they can adhere to in the long term. It's gonna have to be something that they prefer doing to get results. Otherwise, if you hate doing something, if you, it's just not your thing, you might get some results in the beginning, you're gonna quit. It's not something that you're gonna stick to. So let's begin talking about this from the inside out. No, in fact, let's talk about it from the outside in. Let's imagine this is a planet. On the outside, you see the land masses, you see the trees, you see the ocean. What are we talking about? In the nutrition world, we're looking at the supplements. They're on the outside. They're the first thing that you see. They're the most visual things you see, the most marketed things you see. All of the money is happening right there. The supplements. So why not make it seem like they're the most important thing? Because a company's job as a business is to make profit. That's the whole idea of business, right? And you don't really make that much money by saying, hey guys, caloric deficit. Sheesh. No, you make money by pushing the supplements. That's the first thing that we see are the supplements, right? And they're touted as incredible, practically miracle. Yeah, a lot of companies will say, okay, no, it's not all about the supplements. We recommend this, this, and this, but it's usually an afterthought of pushing the supplements first. Or they'll push some information to make it seem like, I'm not saying supplement companies are bad, but their main goal is profit, like I said, once again. So to the new beginner, that's all they see because the industry is all about money. It's about supplements. Companies aren't making money by teaching people about energy balance and calories in and calories out. So that's what we see from the outside. It's unfortunate that once we begin our fitness journeys, usually when we want to build muscle, the first thing we do is we go on Google, muscle building supplements, and we start buying some stuff. We start buying some things without even covering the basics. We want to lose some weight, we buy a fat loss pill without understanding the basics. What are the basics? The most fundamental thing in terms of nutrition is going to be our energy balance. Calories in and calories out, okay? I'll talk more about that in just a second. The next most important thing are the things that calories come from. So what do we consume that has the calories? The foods that are comprised of fats, carbs, and protein. And fiber is in this category as well. It's the most important thing for us. It's the next most important thing for us to manipulate in terms of our body composition after calories, which is the most important. The next most important thing in the world of nutrition, specifically geared towards body composition, is going to be micronutrients, things that we consume in lesser quantities than the macronutrients, vitamins and minerals. And this is a pretty easy talk for us to have, and I could pretty much sum it up in like 10 seconds. Eat lots of vegetables, eat fruits, eat variety, eat lots of color, boom, we're done, strong. Meal timing and the frequency of nutrients. We're talking about, now it's funny because this is the topic, and I'll just quickly just get this out there. This is the topic that is the most overinflated. It's the most, it's like the most easiest thing to just push out there. Hey, eat every 2 to 3 hours, small meals, nutrient dense foods, and it's like, cool, but you kind of missed the bulk here. You kind of missed the main thing here. It's kind of sad. And of course, supplements is on the outside. Not that it's unimportant, but it is important, and we're going to talk about it. But it's nothing in terms of importance compared to energy balance. You can imagine energy balance pretty much comprising, you know, somewhere between 40 and 60% of this big picture, with depending on how you look at it, with macronutrients comprising of 20 to 40%, and micronutrients comprising anywhere, depending on how you look at it, 10 to 30%, and meal timing comprising anywhere between 10 to 20%, maybe even 30% for some people, and then supplements, you're looking at 0 to 5%. Some may say 0 to 10%. If you're on steroids, supplements will cover, depending on your results, depending on your response, 0 to 30 to 40%, who knows? But these are the big pictures. This is the main thing we're looking at. This is the main thing that I'm manipulating in terms of my 15-week cut that I'm on right now. And these right here, these two main inner circles here, are gonna be the things that I want you to fully understand so that you can easily, deliberately control your body composition. Let's get started. Okay guys, let's begin this talk about nutrition, starting off with something we'll probably never have to talk about. There are small calorie and large calories. A large C in terms of a calorie is a kilocalorie, and that's what we measure. That's what we're talking about in terms of food. We're talking about kilocalories. We're talking about food calories, which basically a calorie is a unit of energy that is necessary or required to increase the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius at atmospheric pressure of 1. Whereas this one, which is not something that we're ever going to talk about in nutrition again, a small calorie is basically 1/1000th of that. That's talking about the amount of energy required to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius, which makes sense, right? It'd be 1/1000th of that. We never have to worry about that again. We're only worrying about kcal. We're only worrying about kilocalories. We're only learning about food calories, large C calories. Now that we got that BS out of the way, don't ever worry about that again. A gram of fat, 9 calories you get from that. A gram of carbohydrates, you get 4 calories. A gram of protein, we get 4 calories. Now these calories come from the foods you eat. The foods you eat generally have a mixture of fats, carbs, and proteins. They equate out to the calories. You consume calories in every meal. You consume calories throughout the day. You consume calories in terms of the overall average per day throughout the week. These are all different ways that people measure calories. So let's talk about the next thing. So we got some basics out of the way. Let's cover some more basics. To figure out your TDEE, or your total daily energy expenditure, that comprises of a few different things. It comprises of your basal metabolic rate, which is basically how many calories your body's burning at a completely resting state, not doing anything. It's the minimum amount of required calories. And on top of that, you require calories for activity, going to the gym, going to work, making videos like this. It requires energy. You're expending energy. You are spending calories to do stuff, to have fun, to live life. You're also burning calories during subconscious activity, fidgeting, just little things that you're not even aware of, maintaining good posture, just biting your nails, just all the little things that you even know that you're doing on a regular basis that you're not conscious of. You're burning calories for that. And also dietary thermogenesis. Your body requires calories for fuel to break down the food that you eat and get more fuel. So calories, while this is up here, let's spread some truth on a myth that's very popular. It is a myth that, okay, by adding muscle, you can incredibly increase your basal metabolic rate. and you'll hear things such as, oh, 1 pound of muscle will increase your basal metabolic rate, or 1 pound of muscle burns about 50 calories a day. That's incredible. That's insane. Okay guys, imagine this. 5'7", a really skinny guy, not crazy skinny, but a pretty skinny guy, my height, about 5'6.5", 5'7", burning 2,000 calories less than me. Less than me, because he's a skinny dude. You really think that happens? You really think a healthy adult who just happens to be really skinny at 5'7", about 140 pounds, 40 pounds less muscle than me, you think he's walking around with a total daily energy expenditure of like 1,000 or less? Really? Really? In reality, guys, 1 pound of muscle probably burns more so around 6 calories a day. A pound of fat burns somewhere around about 2 calories a day. So the more muscle, the more fat you have on your body, the more calories you burn. The more fat you have, the more calories you burn. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn. But it's nothing like compared to 50 calories per pound of muscle. That's insane. That's crazy. So how is it that, even I feel this way, how is it that as I get bigger, it does seem like my energy needs increase by much more than 6 calories per pound of muscle I add in my body? Well, it's because the demand for the growth requirement to gain more muscle increases in terms of the energy you're putting forth in the gym. Over time, to build more muscle, you have to increase the volume. You have to increase the stimulus required. You need more tension. How? More energy, more requirement to build the muscle. So you're actually increasing the activity over time generally when you are trying to build more muscle. It's not necessarily all just your basal metabolic rate increasing. Yeah, with every pound of muscle, you're increasing that by 6-ish calories, but you're also increasing the activity requirement to build that muscle, which both contribute to your total daily energy expenditure. Hopefully I covered that myth real quick. It's important for me to say, once again, whether you use a calculator or not, you are actually going to have to weigh yourself and measure your food to truly know your total daily energy expenditure and to truly know how many calories to consume to gain weight or to lose it. 2 main methods that you can go about to quickly find this number. You're not going to be able to find this number out no matter what calculator or formula you use. You're actually going to have to do the work, and that work might take 1 to 3 weeks generally. Method 1 and method 2. Method 1 involves you tracking what you just happen to be currently eating. Granted, you do it accurately and precisely. If there's error on your part, there's nothing wrong with this method here. My method's foolproof. It's your fault. So that means you might want to choose foods that you can actually measure in terms of the nutrients. This means that whenever you eat out, that's not an accurate measurement. Eating out is not an accurate way for you to measure how much nutrients you're consuming. You add a bit of variability to that. And that's something that we're going to talk about later on in terms of lifestyle and adherence. It doesn't mean that science doesn't work. It just means that you aren't going to know for 100% certainty how many calories and how many macronutrients you're consuming if you're eating foods that aren't 100% accurately measured. And that's what eating out does. You don't really know what you're consuming. You might have a very good idea, and over the span of 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you get better and better at eyeballing things. But for now, how about this? Method 1 involves you tracking what you currently eat every day for 1 to 3 weeks, involving foods that you weigh at home. So next, you'll have to also track your activity level. Your activity, so your workouts, just in terms of, hey, did you lift that day? Did you do cardio that day? How much total cardio in addition to weights did you do that week? Did you do per day? So you're tracking your weights, you're tracking your food, and what you'll be doing is you'll analyze the relationship between the average caloric consumption and the average weigh-in. Yeah, you can look at the 1 to day 21 and look at the overall trends. That's going to help a lot. Just looking at it, seeing, okay, I weighed this much, I ate this much. What happened to the 1 or 2 days where I ate 4,000 calories instead of what I think is my maintenance of 2,500, right? And you'll be able to see, oh, my weight shot up, wow. So So what you can do is you take the average of the first week's weigh-in, say it's 180.5, take the average of the caloric intake, which let's just say is 2,500, and do that for weeks 1 through 3. And just looking at this, we see here that this guy consumes consumes 2,500 calories at this body weight. He went up half a pound. He ended up consuming 100 calories less on average. The next week, his weight went down. And on this week, he happened to consume this much, and let's just say week 4 is about 180.5, right? With this much data, we're pretty good to say that right here is probably where his caloric maintenance is, based on the amount of activity he's doing on average, based on the average weigh-in, based on the average caloric intake. Now, if this guy wanted to bulk, what would he do? He would add calories to that. If he wanted to cut, he would subtract calories from that. It makes sense, right? It just almost seems like, damn, I didn't know about this. Strong. Anyways, method 2 would be to actually use a calculator or formula that you find online and get your maintenance calories. From there, pick a goal and adjust the calories. Eat based on that goal in terms of the macros and calories. And just basically the same thing. Track the weigh-ins, track the activity, track the caloric intake, and basically you do have to do the same thing. You'd have to look at the average weigh-ins, the average caloric intake, and from that information you'd be able to tell where your caloric maintenance is and if you have to add calories to that to gain, if you have to subtract calories to lose weight. So now that we kind of have this out of the way and you've been faced with the reality that you're actually going to have to do a little bit of work and track calories and track weigh-ins and stuff like that, let me just give you guys a quick little estimation on your caloric maintenance. Here's the quickest way that I like to come up with a person's maintenance calories, and this was greatly influenced by Eric Helms. I'm going to use the same example that he showed in one of his videos. Let's take an individual who happens to be about 200 pounds, whether he wants to bulk or cut, doesn't matter. But he's 200 pounds, we'll take that, multiply it by 10. We have 2,000. And from there, we'll multiply it by a number based on these given factors here. So we'll multiply it between anything between 1.3 and 2.3. So anywhere in this range. And I honestly think for most people, you'll be between the 1.5 and probably the 2.0 level, okay? I actually happen to be right here at the 1.8 level. And I'll explain where you multiply this. So you decide the multiplier in which you multiply this number here, where you take your body weight, multiply it by 10. You'll multiply that by a mixture of these factors. So the more left, I'll tell you if you're more on the left or more on the right. So body fat percentage. If your body fat is really high, this will influence you to be more on the left. So if you're leaner, it'll influence you to be more on the right. If your total activity, exercise per day, per week is a lot, like you exercise in the gym most days of the week and maybe even do cardio most days of the week, that'll put you more towards the right. If you have a strenuous, difficult, demanding occupation, job, if you're a carpenter, you're always moving around, if you're running back and forth at your job, that'll move you towards the right. Age, the younger you are, you'll probably more towards the left. As you get older, you'll be a little bit more towards the right, but that's not going to have as big of an effect as your total activity and as your body fat percentage. But it's still important. And of course, and I'll put this up here for a reason, your knowledge of self. And this could also include knowledge of your family history. For example, if obesity, if being overweight seems to just run in the family and you feel like you quote unquote have a slow metabolism, you feel like your entire family has a slow metabolism, then that might make you lean a little bit more towards the left. And if you feel like everyone in your family is freaking shredded, if everyone in your family just happens to be leaner, doesn't generally have problems with obesity, then you'll probably be leaning, because of this, more towards the right. In this range generally here. So If your body fat, once again, body fat percentage, if you're lean, more towards the right. More activity, more towards the right. Physical job, more towards the right. Age, not really something you have to worry too much about, but as you get up there, it's gonna lean a little bit more towards the left because as you get older, your metabolism decreases ever so slightly over time. And knowledge of self, that will also influence this. So you'll multiply this 2,000 by 1.3 to 2.3, which ends up giving you 2,600 all the way to 4,600. So we have these numbers here that gives a huge span of variation, as you can see. And the vast majority of people that happen to be 200 pounds are going to have a maintenance calories between this range, and even more specifically, somewhere in this range here, between the 1.5 and the 2.0 multiplier. Like I said, I happen to be right here around 1.8, which is pretty middle of the road, if you ask me. All right, guys, it is time for the fun part. Let's use myself as the example, right? Let's take me from about a week ago. I was 180 pounds. Let's figure out my maintenance calories. Let's take that, multiply by 10, which you can just basically add 0. Multiply that by a factor between 1.3 and 2.3. Now, since based on the factors I listed previously, I think I'm probably about 1.8. We'll multiply 1,800 by 1.8. We get about 3,240, and you'll see why in just a second. I'm just gonna round that up to 3,250. So if you happen to be in this case, you would start off with the maintenance calories of 3,250. But chances are you don't want to just keep that weight. You probably want to either cut up or add muscle and bulk. In other words, increase the calories. So we'll start off with cutting. Now, before I even tell you how many calories you should decrease to get things started, you probably should know that it's a good idea that in terms of the maximum amount of weight you ought to be trying to aim for per week, based on Eric Helms, Alan Aragon's, and Peter Fishen's research review, it's a good idea that 0.5 to 1% body weight loss per week is probably the sweet range for most natural bodybuilders. For some people, you maybe get away with even more at the beginning of your cut, but for maximum muscle retention, you probably want to keep it in between this range. And for even higher, maximum muscle retention, you want to keep it towards this. But depending on how you like to do things, taking an entire 8-week cut at this rate might not be the business for you. It's up to you, to be completely honest. So towards the beginning of a cut, you might want to start off towards 1%. And as you progress through, say the first week I lose 1.8 pounds, I lose another 1.8 pounds the next week, and then 1.7, and it's going to diminish over time. Not just in terms of the weight, I might also decrease the goal weight loss per week, just for the sake of muscle retention. But with that being said, what would I bring my calories down if I wanted to initiate a cut? I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to generally throw in a cardio session if I happen to be doing absolutely none to help me initiate a cut. So I'll throw in one cardio session of 400 calories, either medium intensity or low intensity steady state. So on the elliptical or whatever it may be, I'll start with throwing in a 400 calorie session just to get things going. And over the span of the week, that doesn't make a huge dent, but I just like doing that. Now, if I wanted to initiate a really slow cut that was towards the 0.5% range in terms of body weight loss, I'd probably take that 3,250 and just subtract 100 to 150 calories. So I would subtract 100 to 150 calories if I wanted just a really slight deficit in combination with the cardio that I just added. So that would take me down to 3,100 to 3,150 calories for extremely slight deficit, right? Now for a more moderate deficit, I would subtract something around 250. So 250 would bring things more in the center-ish of this, for most people at least. So 250 would bring it towards the center. That takes me down to about 3,000 calories, and I also am doing that one cardio session that I added. Now, if I really wanted to start off towards the 1% body weight loss per week, I'd probably subtract 500 calories. So let's do that. Subtract 500, and I got 2,750. Okay. This is actually interesting because this is what I'm basically aiming for 6 days of the week as is, with the goal of about that much body weight loss per week. Doing just a little bit more, I'm doing more cardio though, but that also takes into account that I have 1 day of the week with higher calories. So on average, it comes out to about this much daily anyway, for me, which is kind of interesting that it happens so like this. It's funny. So this is probably where you want to subtract the calories in terms of how much to begin that cut towards aiming to lose this much per week for cutting. Okay. Now, in terms of the gaining, there's also different scales on this side. So if you've been training, if you're brand new, if you've been training for 0 to 1 year, maybe even 0 to 2 years, you probably might want to aim for quite a bit of weight gain per month. You might want to aim for 2 to 3 pounds per month, right? Per month. And that kind of surplus that might help you get that might be a somewhat large one, right? So we'd probably be looking at 3,750 for some people, and maybe even up closer to 4,000 for some. So, but for the most part, we can probably aim for a 3,750 right there, okay? 3,750, let's just say, to 3,850, just to keep things safe. Now for the next group of training people, say you've been training for at least a year, you're in the 2 to 3 year bracket, and you're probably aiming for 1 to 2 pounds gained per month. You might be aiming for a caloric intake that's about 250. So in this one you wanted about plus 500-ish, and this one you wanted about plus 250-ish, right? So this would give this individual, or me in other words, a goal of about 3,500, and I might even take that up 3,500 to 3,600. Okay, now for an individual that's been training for 4+ years, who may like to take it even slower than 1 to 2 pounds gained per month, this person might aim for 0.5 to 1 pound per month. And I know people that aim for actually less than that. I also know people that like to take it between the 1 to 2 pounds per month. It really just depends on how frequently you like to switch between cuts and bulks. It depends on how much weight you like to gain or lose in one span of time. It just depends on a few different factors. There's really no right or wrong. I think it just depends on how you like to do things. So if you wanted to gain really slowly, you've already been gaining, you're already lifting for like 4+ years, you might just aim for a really slight deficit of between 100 and 250 probably. So let's just say about 100 to 200. So that's the kind of deficit you'd be aiming for in this range. More so towards around the surplus. You'd more so be aiming towards the 100 surplus. So this guy would be getting in 3,350, maybe 3,450, okay? So lots of different options depending on where you're at, the rate of weight loss you're aiming for, what kind of deficit you want to handle, how much. And you'll notice that, well, I don't know if you noticed, but it's not exactly as hypothetical as the simple, oh, there's 3,500 calories to the pound of fat, right? That's what you hear all the time. You automatically assume that if you take the maintenance, subtract 500, you'll be losing about a pound per week. But it just doesn't end up happening like that. And you'll see for yourself once you actually start tracking this stuff. Sometimes you will only have to subtract just a little bit from whatever your maintenance might be, and the weight loss is just flying off and flying off and flying off. And then all of a sudden, at some point, it's like, holy crap, I have to take this huge macro/calorie adjustment in terms of a decrease to keep that weight loss going. For other people, you might have to really increase those calories to begin that weight gain. Or for other people, it might be they just barely increase the calories and the weight gain starts. So it's extremely individual. Oh God, please tell me that you saw the right side. Okay, good. It's extremely individual, and I hope that this helps make some sense of how to determine how many calories you should be aiming for depending on the goal that you happen to have. All right guys, I think that's enough for one video. I hope you enjoyed everything that I've had to say so far. In the next video, Matt versus 3.2, we're going to continue this conversation, talk a little bit more about calories, but more importantly, get into the conversation about macronutrients. Taking the calories that we decided upon, whether it was bulking or cutting calories, breaking it down into fats, carbs, and proteins, and from there applying those, because it's really all about the macros, right? And learning how to and when to adjust those macros based on the feedback that you get. I'll also be showing you guys something that I have on this side of the whiteboard. You're probably wondering, what's over there, Matt? Well, over there, we have my, what's the best way to say this? We have my estimated fat loss per week for every single week of this prep in terms of my goal fat loss. I have two different scenarios, and one of them is a magical, crazy one, and one of them is the one that I'm actually going to my best of ability, be going with. So, hope you enjoyed this video so far. I'm gonna leave you now with a day of working out, a day of eating and lifestyle that is what Matt Versus really is, as well as teaching you guys this stuff. So, hope you enjoy. See you in Matt Versus 3.2, and take care. Enjoy the rest of the video. January 2nd. Good morning, guys. Time to weigh in. Put the camera right here. Kind of activate the weight scale, holding a few pounds extra, and then I step off, get back on. Cool. 179.2. And that is after yesterday's refeed. So what I like to do pretty quickly right when I wake up is to pound 1 to 2 just shaker cups full of water. Get hydrated. All right guys, I'm in the kitchen for a quick shake breakfast. I got 1.5 scoops of whey, 150 grams of Fage Greek yogurt, put about 75 grams of blueberries, and my banana was about a 120 gram amount of banana, 1.5 scoops of whey, 30 grams of oats, 100 grams of kale, and then just a shot of apple cider vinegar, like that. I'm gonna put in my creatine as well. I'm gonna put in 1, maybe 2 Splendas just to make it taste a little bit better. Blend this up, drink it real quick. That's my breakfast. Hop in the shower and get the day started. If you guys find yourself, I guess, kind of lingering in the morning, not really getting your day started immediately, this is a recommendation a lot of people will give you, is to have like just a quick shake just to kind of get you going. You immediately get up out of bed, walk across the room to turn off your your alarm clock, and then just have your shake, hop in the shower, get your day started. So that's kind of how I started today. One thing that I was a little off on was yesterday. I kind of assumed that this was about 50 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fat, 50-ish protein, but it's actually off. This is more so around 5 fat, 75 carbs, and 60 grams of protein. So that puts yesterday even higher. And in fact, I also had the mixed frozen fruit, so it was even higher. It was, my breakfast yesterday was like an 85 or even 90 carb breakfast, which puts my carbs yesterday at about 475, 480, 485. So that's cool, because I had my fats really low yesterday. They were like 40-ish grams, and then I had about 475, 480 carbs yesterday, with the 2 20-ish protein. So I'm happy with that considering the weigh-in this morning, which was about 179, I remember, right? So that's cool. I'm gonna have this, hop in the shower, and get myself off to the gym. I think I'm training just by myself today, I believe. I think Megan's at work, and maybe I'll see if my brother wants to go, but we'll see. Okay, so I didn't use any ice today, so it's not as frothy as yesterday. There we go. I'm gonna have my vitamins, minerals, all that good stuff with this breakfast right here. All right, guys, let's see what's in my steroid closet. We got vitamin D3. It's a really potent steroid. Just kidding. We got omega-3s from Nutrigold, right there. This random grapeseed that I found that was extremely cheap, and I was just like, YOLO. But this isn't a regular for me. This is not a regular, but it's a YOLO. I don't even know why I'm taking it. Okay, moving on. We got Men's Life Force Multiples from Source Naturals. I really do like this one. We got some green tea extract, also one of those, meh, YOLO. Kind of like my apple cider vinegar. It's like this placebo effect. I'm just like, screw it. And then last but not least, Doctor's Best for my glucosamine. And I do like this one. So these are all things that you take and then you can't really for sure know, like, oh wow, man, I could really feel that fish oil, man. Or wow, those vitamins, rare, shink. But but you just take them anyways. So I have all of these in my, you do your research, you know, you try to find which ones are quote unquote good, pure, potent. So do your research and look at reviews, look at what smart people are saying, look at what your mentors are saying on the different supplements that you're thinking of taking. Don't just buy it because some jack dude is like, yo, buy this. If you know like tons of doctors who lift who are jacked, natural, etc., and they happen to use like something that you use, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And they're not like financially gaining from it. You know, that's probably a good sign. So yeah, random. So we're back at the gym, gonna do 400 calories cardio, and then hit my push workout. Cool. About 33 minutes, cut in my 400 calories. Oh, time to work out. Before I began, went to my car, scooped me some BCAAs. They're not crazy important, but I happen to have them. And when I cut, I say screw it, I buy it. If you're on a budget, I'd say no, don't do BCAAs. If you're not cutting, I'd say don't do BCAAs. If you have like lots of extra disposable income and you're cutting in a really, you know, deliberate fashion, and something's at stake, perhaps reputation, money, potential money, etc., then BCAAs might be a choice for you. I'm speaking about supplementing with BCAAs. I don't actually mean BCAAs in general. Obviously, they're absolutely necessary, but you get them in the foods you eat, so hey.
What up and welcome back, guys. Strength wise, yeah, I've already taken a very slight dip. I am unable to press the 150s for as many reps as I would like to be pressing in terms of just muscle retention and total volume. So for me pressing 150s, my strength is now in the probably the 3 to 6 rep range for the 150-pound dumbbells, but I honestly want to keep most things in the 8 to 12 rep range for most things. And for this exercise, I like the 8 to 10 rep range. So that's why I'm playing with the 140s at first. I think I did a 10 on the first set. I think I get 9 on this set. And then since it was a decline in the total number of reps, I decided to just go down to the 130s and hopefully get 10 full reps with that. One thing that I'm doing differently this prep compared to the last and compared to 2011 is in general more total volume, as well as not worrying so much about keeping or even hitting 3 to 5 rep sets on most things. Like for example, when it comes to my squats, I probably not going to be performing 3 to 5 rep sets. I'm going to be keeping most of my sets 8 to 10 reps. And it varies for different exercises. Like for example, on stiff leg deadlifts, I really like the 4 to 6 rep range no matter what. So it really just depends. In the past, I've done dumbbell presses, incline or flat for sets of 4 to 6. But for the most part, I'm going to be keeping it between 8 to 10 reps, since my goal here is total volume more so than like how heavy that weight actually is. Granted, the weights that I do use are going to be heavy enough for stimulating my muscles. So we're talking 50 or 60% of your 1 rep max or heavier. So here's a nice little side view. It's something really weird about me. I don't know if this is everyone or anyone, excuse me, but it's weird, but it feels pretty natural for me that on the way down on a lot of my presses, I practically flare out, and then on the way in or on the way up, it looks as if I tuck in. I don't know if this has been intentional. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why, but it's something I've been noticing as of late, and it's not something that I've been conscious of in terms of me pressing. It's not like I try to do it, but it just happens, and I guess it's just the natural way that things have been going for me. It's not what the textbooks generally recommend. It's not at all. Generally, it's tuck on the way down and flare on the way up in terms of your pressing movements. But for me, I don't know why. I don't do as I do, just do as I say, whatever. I just seem to be doing it that way. After that, I did some machine dips, and this is another exercise that I can definitely feel is taking a toll. What I was doing for sets of 15, I've immediately had to drop down for sets of 12. Another key pointer is that an exercise such as this, for whatever reason, to just get yourself set up in this rig, you're required to, you're pretty much hitting an isometric stretch on your calves and hamstrings. There's an isometric hold that you're doing, and I've noticed that when placed before a leg day, it can be quite a bad idea. So for some exercises out there, such as this one or this machine particularly, you might want to be careful, because I've physically noticed that sometimes the next day I can feel it in my calves, I can feel it in my hamstrings. There are other machines such as a Preacher tricep machine, which you're going to see later. I've found that sometimes the next day my core is sore from just positioning myself. Anyways, here is something that in my current legs push pull off kind of split, I have been doing for 3 to 5 sets on both the push and the pull day. Simply because I want to maintain my freaking delts. I want to maintain these delts. So I've been hitting them on both the push and the pull day in just attempts to keep that frequency up there, to keep that volume really high going through this cut, so that I can keep the 3-6D delts that hopefully I'll be known for this prep of 2016. So far, so good. It was pretty cool. The other day I was in Gold's gym, and I was getting some compliments on my delts, and that's a gym that is pretty heavily untested, if you know what I mean. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I think the guys that said that, it was very nice of them, and they were in great shape themselves. So it's cool. I've been kind of going back and forth in terms of gyms, so you might actually see me at a few different gyms lately. Well, 2 gyms lately that I've been training at. But anyways, I really like this cable side lateral, obviously way more than the dumbbell side lateral, as resistance exists through the entire range of motion. From the beginning to the end, there's resistance, whereas with the dumbbell side lateral, resistance really begins, after you've already traveled quite a bit of a distance. That's when it happens, and the weight's only pulling you down. Whereas with the cables, the weight is resisting you the entire time through the whole range of motion. So here's another exercise that I've noticed is taking a hit Granted, I normally don't do those tricep dips before having done these on a regular basis. So it could be that it is a factor of me just being weaker because of the diet, but also because I added those machine tricep dips. Now, something I also do on every push day, I try to get in, 2 or 3 or maybe even 4, maybe even 5 sets of some sort of fly. And whenever I work out my chest, generally, I'll hit an incline exercise, a flat or decline exercise, and a fly exercise, like this. So, yeah, I really liked the way this felt. I kept it going. The lighting was pretty good. I actually set the lighting up on the other side just to kind of see what that looks like over here. Boom. And just a different feel, different lighting. The lighting in this gym is incredible, to be honest. It's sickening. You can get some pretty crazy lightings, and you'll see towards the end of this video exactly what I mean. So, man, if I had to give you some tips for the fly, it's honestly just about feeling what's hitting that chest best, as well as trying to keep those shoulders in a safe place. So generally tucked back and down. Although it gets a little bit difficult sometimes with the chest fly when you're not braced against something. So sometimes I'll recommend just bracing your back against the incline bench. Now here's the one thing I talked about, that sometimes I honestly feel my core being sore the next day, and I've made the mistake of having to deadlift the day after, like doing this exercise, and I've felt that it's negatively affected core, back, or leg exercises. So with my legs push pull off current split, I haven't had any issues. After I basically generally did usually 3 sets of everything. Some exercises up to 4 or 5. Quite a bit of volume in total, as you can see. If I did do 5 of most of these things, but for a lot of the pushing, it was 3. For some of these isolation movements, it's somewhere between 3 and 5. And this here. Now this is the lighting check that I kind of go through some posing just to see how I look. This is me at around 169.5 pounds, give or take. I think I take my shirt off here just to get a good look at how things are looking with this prep. And in this video, I'm looking pretty pumped, as you'll see in a second. But to be completely honest, since this cut is a bit more aggressive than my 2013 one, I've noticed that I do feel at times a bit flat. I do feel a bit depleted at times, but overall still feeling like I still have a lot of my size. Although even just this week, I feel like my arms aren't hugging my sleeves as tight as they used to be. So that's one thing I'm giving up slowly but surely, and eventually I'll reach a point where my arms can't hug any sleeves at all. So that's something that I'm giving up. But when the shirt comes off, then I actually have something. So it's a give and a take. It's a sad give and a take. The butt goes, the arms go a little bit, but you look better without a shirt on. So, man, I wish the stage had lighting like this. Man, it's pretty intense. So here's where I'm currently at with a pump after a push day. My abs, they lean out the fastest. My face leans out on average with the weekly and a monthly basis, but it also reacts very quickly on an hourly and meal-ly basis. So I have a meal, my face can get bigger. I go without, and it gets leaner. It's pretty crazy.
Probably the fastest push workout I have ever done, because I got friends headed to my house. We're watching some UFC tonight, pay-per-view, and I got to pick up my Chipotle. I got my rice cakes right there, about 4 of them. Somewhere between 45 and 50 carbs, depending on which type of rice cake. And I have a protein shake, 50 grams of protein right there. Whey. Whew, I am home. The fight's starting in 5 minutes. I have to clean up before everyone gets here, get things prepared. I got a nice, beautiful letter from the IRS. Looking forward to opening that. Packages from Amazon at my front door too. I'm constantly, if I ever need anything, the first place I check is Amazon.com, because you generally find things really cheap. Plus, it's delivered to your door. Don't even have to go out of your house. I think, I can't really, I'm trying to remember what this long piece. Oh, this is a poster. This is a wall calendar, a yearly wall calendar that plans out shows all 12 months in a quarterly fashion or in a trimester fashion, depending on which one you want. And I think I got a few other things I needed too. All right, dinner time. I got my brother and some friends over for UFC pay-per-view at my house. Love UFC. Huge salad. Chipotle burrito bowl, which comes out to about 1.5 Chipotle burrito bowls with a serving of cheese in there. Taking that into consideration. I'm doing half of a bag of barbecue pop chips, half a bag of cheddar and sour cream pop chips. And here we got spinach, carrots, cherry tomatoes, quite a bit of mushroom right there. And after having eaten this, I'll be at 50 fat, 345 carb, 200 protein. And from there, I'll probably just have a scoop of whey to hit 225 protein, and I'll be leaving my fat at 50 and leaving the carbs at 345. Okay, we got 100 grams. It's about a bag right there. That is a lot of burrito bowl, and that's why I basically charge it in my Fitness Pal is 1.5 servings.
Yeah, like hip hop, electronic.
A little bit of lime juice.
Jeezy pretty much wrapped his whole new album. Pretty much. You probably heard a couple of it.
Get him! It's crazy here.
Oh my god!
Get him!
Wait! No! Robbery! Robbery! Man!
The judges are blind.
Give me a...
Alright, so he's waiting in line for the winner, no doubt about it.
Yes. Yes.
So I got a few things from Amazon. Double-sided tape for something I'll show you in a second. Crotch opener. This is for something I'll show you in a second. And I got some Renew. It's basically, I call it eye juice. It's for contact lens solution, basically. And then I have this huge calendar, the one I was talking about. I'm gonna put this up over there in my little office area.